There's lots of people already. Neil, James not eating his lunch, that's excellent. I'm never going to let James forget that he ate his lunch on my calls.
I've got questions.
That would explain it. That's good.
Afternoon, Caroline.
Hi, Gary, how are you?
I'm okay. You?
Getting there. It's Thursday lunchtime. There's only a day and a half before the weekend. There is a chance we might make it, so that's excellent.
Good. What's a weekend?
A day when there's fewer emails. Not no emails, fewer emails. Yes. And fewer.
Gary, you're at home. You shouldn't be working.
I came because I knew I was going to be disturbed, so I can walk next door and come into the house. So.
Oh, well, that's true. Yes, exactly. Good. Okay. So we've got quite a few people. So today, like I was requested and the others, there aren't any big new things to do with furlough. There's lots and lots of lovely horror stories to regale you with about things people have done where you go off, you think, really, why did you think that was suitable? Some of which might be relevant to golf clubs. Not all my horror stories are from golf clubs. I'm just saying, not all of them. Just, 70% of my horror stories. It's always fun talking to people and they go, no. So what have we got going on at the moment? Okay, so this is not furlough. This is about interactions with employees. Okay, so members of staff amongst themselves, particularly in F&B, talk on WhatsApp. I know a lot of them do their scheduling, their rotas on WhatsApp. We've just had a private sector company who we were working with on an ad hoc basis. We were going through a disciplinary process, and the lady in question has resigned and now filed a sexual harassment claim against her boss because on their WhatsApp group, he had been sharing hardcore porn with her. Brilliant. He's like, but it was two-way, and she was sharing stuff with me and I was sharing stuff with her, and it was all fine and everything. And it's like, it is never ever fine to share anything like hardcore porn with your employees. I am not talking to you guys because guys, I think all club managers are not the problem. House managers are the potential problem here. They are the ones doing it. We have had over the years quite a few house managers who've been inappropriate with their female staff if they fancied them. We haven't had, it's strange actually, you would have thought nowadays in the enlightened time there would have been inappropriate behaviour with boys as well. We haven't had that. I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm just saying it's usually a male house manager being inappropriate with female employees. Just to make sure that all your staff, certainly all your managerial staff, understand that while they might think it's okay, do not send anything that you would not want to show your mother or your grandmother on your phone. Okay, just don't do it. Just, if you want to send them something separately, do it on at least a different way, but actually no, don't send it separately. Just don't do it. If they are an employee, they're an employee and they can sue you 2 bits. So this guy, she'd only been there 2 years, 3 months. We could have fired her back in January and had no comeback. Because he started this process to get rid of her gross misconduct, and there was gross misconduct, but not anymore, he now has to do a settlement agreement of at least a year's pay to make this go away. Because he did send it, and she's got proof. And Kathy's read what it is that she has, and we won't go into details, but it really is hardcore. So, it's so much fun, this job. It's great. So what I'm saying is, don't ever send something and think that an employee has the same sense of humor, because they're all everybody's friends until they're not, and then the club or you is going to be in trouble. Okay. The other thing to keep reiterating, if you've got people under 2 years and they're not performing correctly, they're not at 100% or even 80%, you need to have that decision at 1 year, 10 months, usually earlier, ideally earlier, but at the very latest 1 year, 10 months in, to go, do we want to keep them, bearing in mind it's going to cost us, X £1,000 to get rid of them in 2 months. Actually, no, let's just part company now and move on. there's been a lot, because of the unusual coronavirus situation, there's been a lot of people who've been put on furlough, and then people have come back to us and said, actually, they were pretty rubbish beforehand, can I get rid of them now? But they're just over 2 years, sometimes 2 years, 1 month over. It's like, if we'd had this conversation 2 months ago, you could have got rid of them really easily, really cheaply. Now it's going to take a lot more money. Okay. James, you had some questions. Do you want to ask some questions?
Yeah, just two. One of them is for people that we're keeping on furlough through past into August, just need to send them another extension letter to say it's carrying on as per the other one.
Yeah, and if any of you are changing the amount you're paying them, to give them a month's notice, so that people can adjust their spending, because if they think they're getting 100% and you're only going to be able to pay them 80% because for whatever reason you're going down, then you need to let them know as much as possible, not get to the end of July, for example, and tell them with the pay slip, oh, by the way, we only paid you 80% for July. But
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Second one is obviously shielding ends at the end of this month, so we've got an employee who is shielding, and so if I say to him, obviously look, it ends, so you're coming back to work on August 1st. When he goes, no, I don't want to, is it we can then offer him, actually you can stay on furlough, that's fine. Is that's okay? Is it?
Yes and no. In as much that it would be, what's he got why is he shielding?
His partner's son is severely disabled.
Okay, so yes, you absolutely can leave them on furlough for as long as you can afford to leave them on furlough. All children are supposed to be back in education in September as normal, so there wouldn't be any shielding then. So at the very latest in September, he would be expected to come back, because all children, no matter whether they're shielding or not, are supposed to be back at school.
He's the same person we've had emails about as well, haven't we?
Yeah. And it's then also making sure that your risk assessments and your COVID policy about social distancing is solid. I mean, it needs to be solid anyway. We have no idea whether there's going to be personal injury claims on this. So that when he does come back in, he's still going to be nervous. It's like, okay, but you're going to be working here. This is how we're going to protect you. We're going to disinfect, blah, blah, blah. So you've got all that to let him know, yes, you can stay on furlough for now, but we would like to see you back in September. And by the way, here are all our risk assessments and policy on this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Greenkeepers. Okay. So this has come out as well again, because obviously we're talking to some of you quite a lot, some of you not very much. But if you have any health and safety infringements from any of your staff, we need to jump on those really quickly. I'm just going to put it out there. The ones that do the health and safety infringements are usually the ones we want to get rid of, but we don't have anything particularly bad from them. There's not particularly bad performance. It's not great performance, but it's not great. It's not bad. And then they've got not a sort of medium attitude. They're not positive, but they're not awful. So there's nothing really to discipline them on. You don't really want to do a settlement agreement because it's going to get expensive. But if they have done something that is potential gross misconduct, we can at least get to a final written warning, if not actual dismissal with it. So we have a club where one of the greenkeepers has not been following the rules for cutting the grass. So those are things that need to be jumped on, because, and don't think that you don't need to do it, and we need to do it at the time. So as soon as you discover it, ring us up and say, this has happened, this is what we're going to do, is that okay? Yes, it is. And then we can get into that disciplinary process really quickly. Like I said, we can't guarantee that it'll be a dismissal, but don't sort of tell us 3, 4, 5 months afterwards, oh yeah, back in January there were some things. We have a club as well where the head greenkeeper is off sick and is now claiming he's being bullied. Of course he's being bullied, even though he's been off for 12 months. He's being bullied all the time at the club. But we've now got an external company in looking at the health and safety, and they're saying there's no COSH, there's no risk assessments, all the things that he was responsible for are not in place, which is gross misconduct, because he is responsible for health and safety for the Greens team. So we have that as an option to go down, which we are obviously taking, to then part companies with him, or at least to get him to agree to a reasonable settlement agreement so that he goes. But this has only come after sort of 6 weeks of talking to each other, that suddenly this has come out. And it's like anything, particularly in the Greens teams, to be honest, it does tend to be in the Greens teams, about health and safety infringements, flag it up to us straight away so that we can advise whether it's going to be something we need to do, okay? Because you don't want to waste an opportunity to part company with somebody who really isn't performing properly, okay? Okay, what other things have come up this week? So we've got taking holiday whilst on furlough. Hopefully I've said this enough, but if you have got people still on furlough, make sure that they take any accrued holiday whilst they're on furlough, so you're only paying the top up amount, so that you don't have, when they come back, that they say, right, I've got 20 days left to take, I'm going to take those 20 days now. You can reject a request for holiday, you absolutely can, but that doesn't mean that they won't take it. And then we've got to do a disciplinary, which is gross misconduct. So it's just easier to preempt that by making sure they've taken all their accrued holiday to date. Okay, then they're not going to be so likely to want to go off on holiday. Okay, people refusing to come back from furlough, if they're shielding this month, is absolutely fine. Next month they are supposed to be back at work. So it's making sure you've got your health and safety. Again, this is turning into a health and safety session, but having your health and safety in place, possibly with masks, if that's what they feel is going to keep them safe, although masks for everybody else rather than for them, and that's how it would work. But getting that all set up. The only exception to the kind of shielding going forward, which will have to be flexible on, are people with childcare responsibilities. And when I say people, I mean 95% of the time females, because you don't want to be parting company with them because they can't come back to work because of their childcare commitments, which they would normally have set up, but because of COVID, there are no holiday camps, or very few, because they're very limited on the number of children they can take. They can't take the 30 children in one group, they can only take 15 in a group, okay? So you will have to be flexible on that until September, but like I said, in September, all children are supposed to be back to school at the normal time, no matter what their parents say. It's just like taking the children out to go on holiday. They will be fined and prosecuted if the children are not in school when there's no lockdown. Okay. Okay, any other questions at the moment? I would like to say Melanie's mask looks lovely. Oh, that is nice. Yeah, with owls and cats. Very nice. That's good. I've got mine on. I've got flowers on my one. So, and we're going to have some in the office, because we don't need them in the office, masks in the office. But if we go to the post office to post stuff, we have to wear a mask to go to the post office. So there you go. Gary, you haven't got a question?
Yeah, I'm just talking about the question James asked about letters to extend the furlough. I've been absent the last couple of weeks, so can you just reiterate what our obligation will be to do with that?
Yeah, so it's just to send an extension one out. Whether you're doing them flexible furlough, that's a slightly different letter. But it's just to say whatever you said originally, and some people actually put an end date on it and some people didn't. Okay, some people said until further notice, in which case you don't need to extend it. If you said until the end of July, then you would need to go back and say further to that, and we've got the letter, further to that previous letter, we are now informing you you will be on furlough until the end of August, till the end of September, till the end of October. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And there shouldn't be any problem with that. I haven't found many people who are upset about being paid to do nothing. Just be aware though, again, this came up in the private sector, that although some of you have been very generous paying people 100%, just be aware that they will not see that as generosity. They just won't. People are ungrateful, employees possibly doubly so. So don't assume that whatever you're going to do, you've got brownie points to play on because you paid them at 100%. They will see that as the default position because they haven't known anything different. The ones that were on 80% would have seen it. If you said, oh, this month we'll do 100, there's a difference. They would appreciate that more. It's just in the private sector, we had a guy who was fired actually back at the beginning of February, was working his notice period, and then lockdown came, so they reinstated him just for furlough. They weren't reinstating him as an employee, but just for furlough. He was paid 100% for 4 months. We've now gone back to him because we're doing restructuring and saying, okay, we're going to have to let you go at the end of July, so really sorry, off you go. that's it. And he's like, no, you can't do that, and you need to give me another month's notice at 100% because you reinstated me, so I'm not actually been fired. You've had 4 months free money. What are you talking about? And he then also said, oh, and by the way, I worked all the way through April and I did all this work, which we don't know how he did it because he didn't have a company phone and he didn't have access to the company computer system. So how he was working is beyond us. But we saw that as a veiled threat to go and blackmail us with HMRC to say, oh, they claimed furlough money while I was still working. So what we've actually done is rolled back the furlough claim for him for April. So if he does go and inform on us, there is no claim, therefore there's nothing illegal. And we've told him to go to early conciliation because they will just laugh at him. You've been paid 4 months at 100% and you want another month of free money. Yeah, get out of here. There are people who've actually been badly treated. So, but just be aware that gratitude thing, just don't assume that everybody is on the same level as you guys are, saying, oh, well, aren't we generous doing this? They'll be, that's what you had to do. We see that as a default. So I'm just thinking this week's session, I feel a little bit more jaded with life. I think I've had a few too many problems this week. Just saying. So I'd like some positive stuff next week. If we could only have positive conversations, that'd be really nice. So okay, any other questions at the moment? Okay, we have, just to let you know, huge drum roll, and probably we need to have champagne on one of these calls. We now have 102 private member golf clubs on retainer. Yay! So that's really good, and we should have at least one more on Monday when they come back from holiday. They're allowed to go on holiday. They're going to sign up, so that's good. And we've got 154 clients on retainer in total, which is really good. So lots of things to do. So if you could just coordinate amongst yourselves when you're going to have your issues, that'd be really good, so that we don't have to do all of them at the same time. That would be fantastic. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Redundancies. If you need to do redundancies and we're not already talking with you, we need to have an initial Zoom call with you and anybody from the committee or the board who is going to be involved, so everybody's on the same page, because I know committees that have been in corporate life, or even worse, have run their own businesses, tend to have a different approach to this than we do, who are trying to keep you safe. They tend to have somebody else footing the bill, certainly in corporate world. So if they do it wrong, somebody else just pays it. It's not a big deal, but actually we're trying to avoid that. And it takes about a week of prep time before we can actually start, and it's a 3-week consultation period. So we've still got time before the end of October to get most of the notice period in. I'm thinking of the people who've got 12 weeks notice owed to them, but it is just making sure that you've got that all set up if you want to do it. It's not going to be ideal. It's not a problem. We can do restructuring at any point, but it's not going to be ideal if we start this on the 1st of October and then the committee says, but can't we use furlough? Well, yeah, but there's only October left now. There's not a lot of time left. If you are looking at finances, as opposed to, you know, getting rid of troublemakers, the earlier we do it, the better, really. And again, this is a good time to look at your Greens team and their terms and conditions, and to think about whether you would like to include them in the restructuring, so you get them off of time and a half, double time, triple time. Okay, so that they are just on an hourly rate, because they're working the same hours as F&B, and F&B never get enhanced overtime, but they are more crucial to people signing up, because people don't sign up because of the greenkeepers, they sign up because of the friendly reception in the clubhouse. Okay, the greenkeepers are absolutely essential. I get it, because they've got to keep the course good. That's great, but that doesn't justify the actual 3 times their hourly rate to actually do what they're supposed to be doing anyway, whereas F&B can actually get a lot more people to sign up if they're friendly. And we do not need to have big-breasted women with low-cut tops to get sign-ups. I'm just saying, okay, just to go against the comment from the GCMA Norfolk meeting that I was at, where I had to, well, discipline people for saying things like that. They were ostracized by everybody else is going, no, we would never do that. Okay, fine. So yes, I'm thinking, actually, now that you're trying to get more women into golf clubs, you should probably have the young men with the six packs, really, in the skimpy tops. Yeah, exactly, just like you, Neil. Yes, there you go, you'll be fine. Okay, any other questions today, or is everybody gloriously happy? No? Okay, good. Okay, well, if there are any questions, absolutely just send us emails. Emails are still the quickest way to get hold of us at the moment. We can absolutely call you back, but the calls will just get logged at the moment, and then we do the triage system. Give us as much detail as you can in an email or a phone call so that we can prioritize you. Just saying I want to talk about something is not going to get you a priority call back. Say I want to talk to you about gross misconduct, and don't make it up, but it's gross misconduct will get you a much quicker phone call. Okay, otherwise we'll see you all again next week with some more horror stories. Yay. Okay, take care. Bye.